on the situation in Burkina Faso, we bring in Gideon Chitanga. He's a political economist specialising in conflict and security research. Thanks so much for your time there, Gideon. Now, of course, this is the second time the military has taken over the government. Would you describe this as a coup within a coup?
Certainly, it's a coup in a coup. It looks to me like the Damiba junta is disintegrating. There are serious internal divisions. On the surface, they look like divisions based on strategy, on issues of how to respond to the issue of festering terrorism in Burkina Faso, particularly in the northern province and the eastern province, and the general state of insecurity. So it feels like there is a feeling within the military that the current government, or the government that has just been removed, is failing to stamp its authority, it's failing to address the security situation. But I also think that the military is increasingly divided, and the things that are not said, issues of strategy, could be informing this second coup. But in general, coups have a way of just generating other coups because they do not provide a better mechanisms of dealing with issues, administrative or strategic. So this is parallel or the same situation as Mali experienced a double coup and a further deterioration of security.
As you mentioned, on both occasions, the coup leaders said that they had to step in because national security was so dire. Tell us more about the security situation in Burkina Faso, particularly with Islamist militants. How did it get to the situation it is at today?
So this is a bit of a long-term problem, partly in the northern part and the eastern part. The jihadists, and some researchers suggest that there could be cells of ISS. And I think because of the insecurity situation in Burkina Faso over the years, the government has failed to address this problem of increasing jihadist activities in the country. The French, who are traditionally the ally in most of these, not necessarily the ally, but the more proactive former colonial power that tend to get involved in stamping Islamic, the spread of Islamism. I think most of the populations and key political actors are very suspicious, and the role of the French has become divisive. So in the absence of proper central authority, we find this new pattern of coups emerging, but the coups themselves, they are not providing the same security they claim to provide, and they at the end they aggravate a state of insecurity.
The African Union and ECOWAS say this takeover is unconstitutional, especially when the country was working towards civilian rule. Is that the case? Was it working towards civilian rule? And what do you think it will take for Burkina Faso to now achieve civilian rule if it's going to take a step backwards now?
To be fair, it's not clear that the former regime was actually reforming. For sure, it adopted what they called a transitional charter, but there were no clear steps towards re-democratizing the country. The response of the African Union and ECOWAS, as your reporter said, is normally to impose sanctions and to commit to a democratic transition, or let's say a transition trajectory. But I don't think they are in a position to do more than that. Traditionally, in some cases, ECOWAS has directly intervened and deployed military forces. But it's clear that in this instance, and in the instance of other coups since the 2020s, they are not willing to be militarily committed. They want to use sanctions and to open room for dialogue. We can say that the transitionary document was probably just a first step, but at this stage, there is need for a very strong message and I think proactive dialogue to create pathways towards democratic transition.
All right, Gideon, thank you very much for your time there. Gideon Chitanga, he's a political economist specialising in conflict and security research. Really appreciate your time.